I'm a U.S. immigration attorney. I'm also a partner at Jackson Walker LLP. We are a large full-service law firm where I run the immigration practice, working with a number of attorneys and paralegals every day on various immigration matters. I specialize in investor visas and the EB-5 investor process. Over the years, I've worked with a number of clients from all around the world to qualify for lawful permanent residency in the U.S. That means that investors have gone under the EB-5 program to get green cards and stay long-term in the United States for themselves and their family members. I've probably worked on over 1,000 EB-5 matters at this point in my career. And again, with clients from countries all around the world, Latin America, Asia, Africa, Europe, South America. I've seen lots of different types of cases and worked with lots of different clients. Once the investor becomes a green card holder, they have a lot of freedom and flexibility in terms of what they can do in the U.S. You can live and work, go to school, retire, wherever you'd like to in the U.S. However, many clients, many EB-5 investors have businesses, other commitments abroad, perhaps in their home country or elsewhere. And that's when you have to help a client be careful about not accidentally abandoning his or her green card. So whenever speaking with a client and advising them on what to do about managing their affairs all around the world, I say, look, you need to show that you've developed ties to the United States. Perhaps buy a home or rent an apartment, open up bank accounts, get a driver's license, club memberships, cell phones, as many things as you can do, demonstrating your ties to the U.S. Oftentimes that's easily taken care of as well by sending your kids to school in the U.S. Now, at the same time, you can spend your time abroad, but you always want to be careful about how much time you're spending outside the U.S. without coming back to the United States. So we always advise clients to be careful about 6 months to 12 months. You need to be in touch with us before staying outside the U.S. for 6 to 12 months in a row. We can look at that from a more inclusive approach. You could have a residence in the U.S., you could have a residence abroad. The intent is to set up long-term in the United States, to show that you have ties to spend your time in the U.S. But again, many clients have their residence abroad as well. So there's not a specific requirement in terms of you need to be outside or inside the U.S., but you certainly would want to demonstrate you have a residence in the U.S. and you can continue to have a resident outside the U.S. So let's talk about maintenance of the green card if you're living abroad. The first step is to look at how long you plan to be outside the United States in terms of how many months straight will you be outside. So again, if you're going to be 3 to 4 months outside the U.S. and you return to the U.S. and you have ties, like the types of ties that I talked about, you should be able to maintain your green card without much issue. However, if you plan to stay outside the U.S. for more than 6 months in a row, you need to check with your immigration attorney because you don't want to accidentally abandon your green card. That's when the government puts the burden back on you to say, do you really plan to be a permanent resident of the United States? So the easiest way to start to try and protect the green card under that scenario is to file what's called a reentry permit, where you file an application with the government, with the immigration authorities to say, I plan to be outside the U.S. for a long period of time, but I will return and therefore do not consider it as an abandonment of my green card. And so if an individual has the green card plus the reentry permit and plans to be outside the U.S. for a year or so, they should be just fine because they've taken the proper steps of protecting their green card by filing that reentry permit, filing for the reentry permit. So under the EB-5 program, You will have the investor filing the first petition of the process, the I-526 petition. Once that petition is approved, each individual of the family, spouse and children, will then each get their own green cards. They'll each become lawful permanent residents, and it is up to them to maintain their status as a lawful permanent resident individually. So if the investor goes back to their home country to take care of their business or family members or whatever it is they need to do, the spouse and children can continue to be in the United States and maintain their green cards without issue. So my message is, at that stage, it is up to each individual to maintain their green card on their own. I always say that the EB-5 program is one of the most predictable ways to wind up as a green card holder in the US, so long as you work with an experienced EB-5 immigration attorney like myself and an experienced EB-5 project group, one that has already handled a number of EB-5 investors to make sure they're using the money in the right way for the EB-5 process. In addition, you need to look at what are your goals for your family. Do you have children that you want to go to school in the United States? Do you want to set up more job opportunities by becoming a green card holder rather than being subject to getting work permits or work visas on a case-by-case basis that are controlled by US employers? The green card offers that freedom and flexibility to live and work wherever you'd like to in the US, and you can continue going on to be that sort of global citizen that you might already be, where you're taking care of your businesses around the world.